Okay, so jumping into a new real estate market, it's always tricky, right?
Always.
But then you look at somewhere like Fort Worth, Texas, and you quickly see the market isn't just large, it's almost two markets in one.
That's a great way to put it. You've got this intense urban growth, but it's like right up against huge stretches of ranch land. It creates this real complexity.
Exactly. And we actually got a source from a listener today, just a single one, an excerpt. It's from Fort Worth Real Estate with Eagle One Realty.
Okay. Sounds like a local brokerage.
Yeah, it's basically their professional pitch. So for this deep dive, our job is, well, kind of like forensic editors, maybe.
Huh, I like that. What are we looking for?
We need to pull out every key detail this local snapshot gives us, figure out what they say they cover, expertise-wise, and maybe more importantly, what that experience is actually built on.
Right. That structural piece is key. Because with a market stretching across such, well, different types of land, you absolutely need local insight. We've got to figure out fast if this is just, a standard residential shop or if they really have that specialized knowledge for the whole Fort Worth picture.
Yeah, the full spectrum. So we're looking at their scope, who's doing the guiding.
The qualifications, exactly.
So our mission here is really to give you, the listener, a clear, practical understanding of the support system this one source describes for buying, selling, even just exploring land options in this pretty complex part of Texas.
Especially if you're maybe prepping for a move, this is like crucial first look data.
Definitely. All right, let's start unpacking it.
Okay.
So the thing that jumps out immediately, just the sheer range of property types they mention handling. It's not just your typical house listings.
No, absolutely not. And there's this one line in the text, it really captures the whole regional complexity. They say they specialize in everything from city homes to wide open spaces.
Right, that phrase right there.
Yeah. That one statement basically confirms it. The market they're serving has this huge urban and rural mix. And that immediately, raises the stakes for the kind of knowledge you need.
That really is the key difference, isn't it? Like a city home deal involves things like HOAs, specific city zoning. It's a very structured legal framework.
Yeah, pretty rigid.
But a wide open space deal could be totally different issues, maybe state rules, county stuff, water access, very different ballgame.
And it's not just that general split either. The source actually drills down. It details what they mean by wide open spaces.
Oh, yeah. What specifically?
It lists acreage, ranches, and farms. See, that's not just fuzzy marketing talk.
No, those are distinct asset types.
Exactly. They need specialized contracts, different kinds of due diligence. This is where the technical know-how really has to shift gears.
I think that shift is so important to focus on for a second. Your average residential agent, they're mostly thinking about comps, fair market value, maybe school districts, right?
Standard stuff, yeah.
But farms, ranches. Now, you might be talking about value tied up in, I don't know, agricultural tax exemptions, or who owns the mineral rights underneath, or specific water wells. Stuff that's just completely off the radar for a typical city house sale.
Worlds apart, absolutely. Think about selling a working farm versus someone buying a condo downtown. The expertise needed. Completely different. Selling a ranch, for instance, might mean you need to understand complex land surveys, maybe deed restrictions about conservation, or even know the going rate for leasing grazing land if it's, an active operation.
Wow, okay.
So a broker who really covers this area has to be able to switch, like seamlessly, from looking at a flood zone map for a little suburban lot to figuring out the grazing capacity of a huge pasture.
That ability to pivot operationally. It suggests expertise way beyond what a typical city-focused brokerage would likely have.
Right.
You need guidance that really gets the dual nature of that market, that understands a deal in, say, downtown Fort Worth might look nothing like a land transaction out in Parker County.
Totally different animals. Which brings up the next big question, really.
Which is?
Pedigree. Experience. When a company claims they can handle assets with such different needs, needing to know city planning codes and the complexities of farm infrastructure, where's that guidance coming from? How is it grounded?
Ah, okay. And the source does address that directly.
Yes.
It points to who's behind the expertise.
Yes, it leads us right to the key person mentioned. The excerpt highlights the main personnel, the experience backing the firm. identifies the principal as broker David Serta.
David Serta, okay. And they give a specific number for his experience, don't they?
They do, and this is immediately significant. It quantifies it. It says David Serta brings 3 decades of real estate knowledge.
3 decades, wow.
Now, we can't just sort of glance over that number. We need to think about what 30 years means, especially in a market like Texas that's seen so much change.
30 years is, well, it's huge. Particularly because Texas real estate has been through some pretty dramatic boom and bust cycles in that time. First, think about it. That time frame covers the fallout from the S&L crisis, the dot-com bust back in the early 2000s,
Right.
the big 2008 financial crisis, which hit different parts of Texas differently, by the way, and then all the years of massive urban growth, plus the whole complexity around mineral rights with the fracking boom.
That's a really critical point. It's not just longevity. It implies navigating, surviving through serious market ups and downs.
Yeah.
So if that experience is actually applied correctly, it suggests, a real familiarity with regulations that have changed a lot over time.
Like what kind of things?
Oh, everything from maybe early environmental laws impacting land use to current rules about short-term rentals in the cities. A broker with that kind of history, they understand how today's deal might be affected by land decisions made 20 years ago. Infrastructure, platting, that kind of stuff.
So according to the source, this experience is the bedrock. It's the foundation for the skilled guidance you need for a successful transaction. They're basically selling stability, almost like institutional memory, in a market known for changing fast.
Exactly. And that institutional memory, it's particularly vital when you're dealing with things like ranches and farms.
Why specifically those?
Well, the rules around agricultural properties, especially things like water rights, mineral ownership, it's super specialized in Texas, highly complex.
Okay.
An agent who maybe just started 5 years ago, they might not have encountered, practically speaking, the tricky bits of an old grazing lease negotiation or how to divide up mineral royalties. But someone with 30 years, they've likely seen that stuff frequently.
That definitely provides some confidence, doesn't it? Especially if you're coming in from out of state.
Yeah.
If you're a buyer looking at, I don't know, both a downtown loft and a 50-acre piece of land outside town, knowing the brokerage claims expertise at both ends, it's a pretty powerful first piece of information.
It suggests they won't just treat your potential ranch purchase like it's just a really big backyard. They understand it's different.
Right.
So if we tie this back to the bigger picture, the source is essentially selling a strategy for managing risk.
Yeah.
They're saying, look, this market is incredibly varied, it's complex, but hey, we offer stability and we cover all of it, built on 3 decades of actually dealing with this exact complexity.
Okay, let's try to synthesize this then. For someone who's actually looking at the Fort Worth market right now, what have we pulled out of this excerpt?
2 main things, I think.
Yeah.
First, a market scope that's defined by its sheer versatility, urban homes all the way to specialized farm and ranch land.
Right, the breadth. And second,
that this broad scope is supposedly guided by some serious historical experience, that there are 30 years of tenure.
so comprehensive service and proven experience, those are the pillars.
Pretty much. The service part is defined by handling, buying, selling, and they explicitly say exploring land, which is interesting. Suggests they help even in the early stages finding undeveloped property.
Okay.
And the experience part, anchored by David Serta's time in the market, that's their justification for claiming they can handle the really diverse, sometimes high-stakes deals Fort Worth demands.
They're basically presenting themselves as the single place you need to go for any kind of property in that whole region.
The ultimate one-stop shop argument, yeah. And for a region that frankly might actually require it.
Because you really do need someone who understands the difference between, like, the fee schedule for a high-rise condo association and how you calculate property taxes based on livestock counts.
Totally different worlds. And that commitment requires specialized tools too, right?
Like what?
Well, think about appraisals. A residential appraisal mostly relies on comparable home sales nearby. Pretty standard.
Okay.
But a ranch appraisal, that might need calculations about how many cattle the land can support, its carrying capacity, or using income methods based on crop yields. The skill set just isn't interchangeable. And the claim of 3 decades implies they've honed both sides of that coin.
Got it. And then for people who are past the, just thinking about it stage and are maybe ready to actually do something, the source gives a clear next step.
Yes, the call to action.
We have to make sure we pass along the specific contact info they provided. It says, for those ready to get started, reach out to Eagle One Realty directly. The number is 817-913-4533.
817-913-4533.
Okay, that's the specific instruction for making contact right from the source.
And having that direct path makes the analysis useful, practical. We took what's essentially a short advertisement and kind of mapped out its blueprint for how they claim to deliver specialized service.
So yeah, I think we've successfully wrapped up this deep dive. We took this local snapshot, pulled out the key claims, broad market coverage, backed by 3 decades of stated expertise in Fort Worth.
And established it's a market needing deep knowledge of both urban rules and, well, agricultural realities.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so given that this market really does demand expertise in like 2 completely different universes, closing on a city house versus handling a complex land deal, here's our provocative thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on.
All right, let's hear it.
When a broker shifts gears, say from selling a regular house in the city to handling a large farm or ranch, what specific, maybe non-standard due diligence things absolutely must they focus on?
Beyond the obvious ones.
Yeah, go beyond just mineral rights. Think about things like water use priority, which is a massive deal in Texas, or maybe specific agricultural tax exemptions, and how losing those could totally change the financial picture of the property. What else comes into play?
That operational pivot. Yeah, that's where the specialized knowledge really shows its value, isn't it? Interesting question.
Something to think about.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.